So, this is how the history of the mysterious hacktivist group began.
Sort of brought forth the anonymous movements, which in a way was quite left-wing, quite progressive. They were taking down the Church of Scientology and then also sort of, supported free speech.
Now let's talk about the time when Anonymous and the website 4chan was not just a website anymore. It became something big. It turned into not just only messages and articles and some posts or a bunch of group discussion. It turned into something really big. It turned into protest. It turned into unity of people that were claiming they were a legion.
We are anonymous. We are legion. Expect us.
It all started in the year 2008 when a group of members of Anonymous started a protest movement against the practice of Church of Scientology. It was a following series of actions against the church. This movement became known as Project Chanology. Now let me explain what Church of Scientology is. It is actually a group of interconnected corporation entities and other organizations which are devoted to practice of Scientology. That's why it is the name Church of Scientology. Now let's talk about Scientology, what it actually is. It is nothing but a set of beliefs and practices which were made and invented by American author L. Ron Hubbard. Now, Scientology is considered as a religious movement. It is a cult, which means it has numerous and various people which are following this set of beliefs and these practices. They not only believe it, they worship it. It is also a very good business for them. The organization who is running the cult, it makes good money for them, and it is a really good business as people are blind believers.
It boasts some of the most famous people on the planet, claims to be capable of curing drug addiction, and says that following its teachings will lead to a life of success and fulfillment. And yet, despite these promises, Scientology remains an organization mired in controversy. Tonight, we look at new allegations concerning Scientology's leader.
So at that time, Anonymous, which was a leaderless internet-based group, started this project when the Church of Scientology attempted to remove an interview of Tom Cruise, the actor, who gave an interview of Scientology. They attempted to remove some of the interview's context and some of its material.
Scientologist, and it's something that you have to earn. And because a Scientologist does, he or she has the ability to create new and better realities and improve conditions. Being a Scientologist, you look at someone and you know absolutely that you can help them. So for me, it really is KSW, and it's just like, it's something that I don't mince words with that, with anything that LRH does, but that policy to me has really gone, boy. There's a time I went through and I said, you know what? When I read it, I just went, this is it. This is exactly it. Being a Scientologist, when you drive past an accident, it's not like anyone else. As you drive past, you know you have to do something about it because you know you're the only one that can really help. But that's what drives me, is that I know that we have an opportunity and to really help for the first time, effectively change people's lives, and I am dedicated to that. I'm absolutely, uncompromisingly dedicated to that. Orgs are there to help, okay, but we as also the public, it's like, we have a responsibility. It's not just the orgs, it's not just Dave Miscavige, it's not just me, it's you, it's everyone out there kind of rereading KSW and looking at what needs to be done and saying, okay, am I gonna do it or am I not gonna do it? Period. And am I gonna look at that guy or am I too afraid because I have my own out ethics to put in someone else's ethics? And that's all it comes down to. Because I won't hesitate to put ethics in on someone else, because I put it ruthlessly in on myself. And I think that I respect that in others. And, I'm there to help, and we're here to help. And my opinion is that, look, you're either on board or you're not on board, okay? But just, if you're on board just like the rest of us, period. We are the authorities on getting people off drugs. We are the authorities on the mind. We are the authorities on improving conditions. Criminon, we can rehabilitate criminals. Way to happiness, we can bring peace and unite cultures. That once you know these tools and you know that they work, it's not good enough that I'm just doing okay.
Yeah, Tom Cruise was also a Scientologist. Project Chanology began in the form of a YouTube video which was titled Message to Scientology on January 21st, 2008. That video is still up and this is what it looks like.
Hello, leaders of Scientology. We are anonymous. Over the years, we have been watching you, your campaigns of misinformation, your suppression of dissent, your litigious nature. All of these things have caught our eye. With the leakage of your latest propaganda video into mainstream circulation, the extent of your malign influence over those who have come to trust you as leaders has been made clear to us. Anonymous has therefore decided that your organization should be destroyed. For the good of your followers, for the good of mankind and for our own enjoyment, we shall proceed to expel you from the internet and systematically dismantle the Church of Scientology in its present form. We recognize you as serious opponents, and do not expect our campaign to be completed in a short time frame. However, you will not prevail forever against the angry masses of the body politic. Your choice of methods, your hypocrisy and the general artlessness of your organization have sounded its death knell. You have nowhere to hide, because we are everywhere. You will find no recourse in attack, because for each of us that falls, 10 more will take his place. We are cognizant of the many who may decry our methods as parallel to those of the Church of Scientology. Those who espouse the obvious truth that your organization will use the actions of Anonymous as an example of the persecution of which you have for so long warned your followers. This is acceptable to Anonymous. In fact, it is encouraged. We are your SPs. Over time, as we begin to merge our pulse with that of your church, the suppression of your followers will become increasingly difficult to maintain. Believers will become aware that salvation needn't come at the expense of their livelihood. They will become aware that the stress and the frustration that they feel is not due to us, but a source much closer to them. Yes, we are SPs, but the sum of suppression we could ever muster is eclipsed by that of your own RTC. Knowledge is free. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.
This video states that Anonymous is exposing the church, which is trying to censor or remove some of its contacts. They were trying to suppress some information from the viewers, and Anonymous kinda exposed that. And they also showed their intention of removing the church from the internet. So what happened was, this video was a message, and the people on the website 4chan who were hackers, they followed up with DDoS attack. DDoS means denial of service attacks. It is like continuous attacks, cyber attacks on your router, which then makes your router to fry. So for some time your router is unable to function. It's like when a group of people are crowding near the entry door of a shop and making it hard for legitimate customers to enter, for it disturbs the trade. It's like that. Many people who are not customers, they just show up, and that's the closest example which I can give. So they hacked their printers, their telecommunication services, and they also did a bunch of prank calls and lots of other operations which were intended to disrupt the Church of Scientology's operations. In February of 2008, it turned into a protest which depended on legal methods. So that included non-violent protest, which included many people coming out wearing the mask of anonymous, people uniting together just for the sake of taking down the church. They also made an attempt to get the revenue service to check for the tax fraud that the church might be committing, and they also demanded for their tax statement. So things started escalating real quick. The members of the church which were on news, they said that Anonymous were nothing but cyber terrorists, and they were anti-religion, trying to harass, disrupt this religion. And some other spokesperson which was representing the Church of Scientology, he once claimed that he received bomb threats, death threats, and other terrorist activities threats, which then were confirmed by the FBI that those attacks or those threats were not linked with Anonymous at all. So the charges against Anonymous and its members were dropped from these threats, and they were cleared from this. This was the story of Project Chanology, which gave Anonymous lots of attention, and it became a hacktivist. From people chatting, discussing, posting and writing articles about stuff on 4chan on various topics, to people coming together of different talents, different skill sets, uniting just to make a change. This was a moment of activism. This is when the first protest began. This is when Anonymous became a group of united people which were a legion who would fight for justice and would fight for a political cause with legal and non-legal ways for the change of a better society.